Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the December 14th meeting of the Bowmanville Rotary Club. Welcome to John Beyer from the Niagara Club, who's going to tell us about a project that they've recently done there. We're going to start with our invocation. Steve K.
Let us rise each morning and strive each day to do only that which brings happiness and joy to others, and to avoid doing things that cause others hurt and pain. Let us use our minds and our reason to foster behavior based on the mutuality and reciprocity inherent in human relationships. And let us always respect the dignity and worth of each other. Let us above all love one another, not to obtain rewards for ourselves now or hereafter, or to avoid punishment, but rather always to bring each other contentment and peace.
Thank you very much. We just like to acknowledge that the municipality of Clarington is situated within the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississauga and Chippewas, known today as the Williams Treaty First Nations. Our work on these lands acknowledges their resilience and longstanding contributions to the area now known as the municipality of Clarington. Pauline, do we have any birthdays and anniversaries?
I'm going to come up.
Yep.
Quite a lot.
Okay.
Since this is our last official meeting of the year, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So we'll do till the end of December. For birthdays today, guess who's celebrating today? Don Gleed. Happy birthday, Don. December 20th, Leanna Hall. Happy birthday, Leanna. December 23rd, Tim Funchion. December 24th, Junior Rafano. December 26th, Joe Solway. Wedding anniversaries, December 15th. Peter, are you ready? Peter and Judy Kennedy. Happy anniversary. December 30th, Chris. Oops, yeah. Chris and Leslie are having an anniversary. Service above self, 1 year for Steve Burnett on December 15th. December 18th, 3 years for Roy Snow. That's
right. I remember Roy did a Christmas message for us when he was inducted. All right. So, Leanna's there. Are you going to be introducing our speaker for us?
Hi. Yeah. Hi. Good morning. I'm happy to introduce John Beyer, who is a member of the Rotary Club of Niagara Falls. He and fellow Rotarians are responsible for creating the Rotary Storywalk Pathway, which is awesome. I love this story. It's a section of the Millennium Trail in Niagara Falls, and the idea was to create a part in the trail as an effort to support community literacy. And I'll let him tell you about how they managed to do that with their local library's help. Hi, John.
Hi, Leanna. Thank you very much. It's nice to be able to join you. It saves a whole lot of driving for me to do this over Zoom instead of coming to see you in Bowmanville. It's a little bit of a hike. And I applaud you for getting up this time of day every week, because I'm not so sure I'd be able to do that. So anyway, well done. I'd like to thank Joe Solway as well. Joe's been back and forth with me several times with emails trying to figure out what we're going to do and how it's going to work and timing, and he's checking to make sure I'm still alive the day before. So good for you for arranging all that, Joe. I'm sure you've had speakers cap out on you before, so glad I wasn't one of them. So nice to meet you all. Anyway, as Leanna said, we've been involved in a Rotary Storywalk Pathway, and I'm going to show you a few pictures. We don't have very many because it's not finished yet. I'll have a big story about that. But what it started out as is a partnership that we had, this is years ago, probably 6-7 years ago, with the library. One of our Rotarians is the head of the early years center, you know, the preschool for the kids that the province runs. And so she had heard about the Storywalk Pathway from somebody else and asked if we might like to donate some money to the library to set that up in a kind of a secluded park arrangement that we have here in town. It's one of these heartland forests, it's called. And the kids then would be able to go and read the stories. So I'll describe what it's all about. What the library does is they buy all these different books and then laminate them. You need 2 books because books are all 2 pages, right? And so they laminate the whole book, and then they have, back then, they have a post, just like a stake in the ground, that they would staple these books onto, and they would put the books pages along the pathway. That's why it was in this heartland forest, has a lot of little paths everywhere. And the idea was that the kids could then go and read their story and get some exercise at the same time. So they'd be interested in seeing, because kids' books are very short, right? You might have a line, maybe 2, lots of pictures. And so they'd go from one and they'd go to the next one, go to the next one. And so they'd end up reading the story because it's fun to do that in the forest and to get some exercise at the same time. And then they would just finish the story by the end. And so without even knowing it, reading was fun. So that worked out really nicely. And we started off $500 with the library, and they set this all up. And then they turned it into a regional project, which is kind of cool, where they set these things up in different libraries. And now they have them so that if you want to have a birthday party or something, you can borrow these laminated pages for a birthday party and put the stakes up in the backyard or through a park or whatever you want to do. And so it really caught on. It was really quite surprising and very gratifying. So anyway, that's how it started. And let's jump to the next part. So what we had then was we have a foundation, our own club foundation, from people that have donated money from bequests or special thank yous or different things. It's getting to be pretty significant bucks. Generates a lot of money every year. And what it allows us to do is to fund projects that are multi-year projects, as opposed to the club being able to do that, because we can't bind each successive board to a commitment for, $10,000, $20,000 or something for something that might be a big project, but we don't always want to do small projects. So our foundation, because it's funded not by fundraising, it's funded by the generation of income from the assets that it holds. We can do multi-year things because we know the money's going to be the year after year after year after. So it works out very nicely. Anyway, that's where the money came from. Excuse me. And the focus with that is to do local projects, not international, like our club often will support. But we wanted to have, with this bequest fund that we had, everything to be done locally. So we've had different projects that we've done in town for various things. And this trail that was mentioned by Leanna is a part of what we thought might be good. Because one of the real deficiencies that Rotary has in general terms is we don't toot our own horn. Hiding your light under a bushel, all those things that we talk about. And we're very good at doing all kinds of stuff, but we're not very visible. And so we thought this would be a good opportunity for us to do something good for the community, but at the same time, add to the visibility of what we have as well. So what I'm going to do is to show you the trail itself, and then a couple of pictures from there. Bear with me because me and Zoom are not best friends. I'll do the best that I can and show you what I've got underneath this screen here. So this is the Niagara Falls. So as a city, this is what it looks like. And this trail, you'll see this yellow line in the center here. That trail is the segment of the trail that we wanted to support. So the trail itself runs from, for those of you who know Niagara Falls, this is kind of like the heart of the city. The QEW runs through from here, from east to west. This is Niagara River over here. And there's a canal that runs right through town that is used to generate power for electricity here in the province. So this trail runs all the way down through here and goes right down through here, and then it ends up in the south end of the city down here. If you see that canal there, that's the Welland River. That river runs both ways. Kind of interesting little sidebar here. The river from this side runs toward the Niagara River, and the river from this side runs from the Niagara River over here to this canal. And it's got a big siphon that goes underneath here, and then the trail goes beside the canal that comes out through there. So only river in the world runs both ways. So now you know more about Niagara Falls. So the trail itself is this piece down here, and that yellow line that's there is the segment that we were going to do. So it runs, there's 6 different pieces, and this is Millennium Trail. So it started in 2020. Okay, this is a little bit later than 2020. This is not exactly a millennium anymore. It's 20 years later. And we're still putting together pieces of this trail because it is painfully slow to have anything done. And I'll describe that for you in a second as well. So our section down here And you can name each section if you wanted to. The Lions Club did one at the top of the trail there. They called Lions Legacy Trail. There was one of the Lions was really enthusiastic about it. And they said, oh, we really want to do this and do all kinds of stuff. Donated $250,000 to the city for the naming rights. And then they ended up, the champion of this thing, the club said, oh yeah, okay, because they just sold a big piece of land here in town, so they had lots of money. And so then the one guy wanted to really do this. The rest of the club said, okay. Anyway, it happened. They said they got the naming rights. They made 2 installments under $250,000. Then the guy died. And then the Lions said, no, we don't want to do this anymore. So city's kind of going, oh my God, what have we done here? What do we do? Take the name down? What do we do? So they left it because it's easier to leave it than it was to do something else. Anyway, big, long story behind that. We had our section of the trail that we wanted to do as well because they're going to be doing that. And we have another club in town. It's a Sunrise Club like you. And they have a foundation as well, but it's much smaller. And so what we talked about with the city, and I was kind of doing all these meetings back and forth. And let me tell you, if you're interested in doing this, be prepared to spend all kinds of time on lots of discussions with lots of parties and lots of delays. That's just the way it works. Bureaucracy is rampant. So we ended up having all these different meetings, and we decided with the club itself, with the Sunrise Club and the library and the engineering people and the Parks and Rec people and City Council, having all these discussions to try and figure out what we're going to do. And we thought with the literacy thing being a big thing for Rotary, kids being a big thing for our club, and visibility being a big thing for the whole organization, we thought this Storywalk Trail would do a very good job of accomplishing a lot of different targets. Does anybody have any questions before I go any further? Okay, that's a no. All right, so what we ended up doing then was I'm going to close this down, and I hope I don't shut you out. So this is the trail itself, that thing that I just showed you. The trail runs all the way down that whole piece there. This is what it looks like. This is the canal I was telling you about. And this is a big story about what it's all about and how it was even created in the first place. Okay. And this is the finished product at the end of the trail. Is that as small as it looks on my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Better? Okay, so this is the standard park naming stuff that you can see here. And you can see, you can't see it probably, Rotary Storywalk Pathway is what it's called. And these are all the Rotarians dressed up in our yellow outfits. This is what we do when we have work parties. We were cleaning it up and things like that. So this is what it looks like. And to describe the trail itself, what it is, it's a trail that runs about 1.5 kilometers long from one major intersection to another one and over the highway with 420, and links up with another leg of the trail that's already there. And it's got 40 different cement outcroppings on the trail itself. You can see the trail over here that are going to have the Storywalk Pathway posts on there. And so it's almost like you see in conservation areas where you see a post with a big plaque on the top of it that is going to have whatever stories are in the plaque. And this is going to have plexiglass top on it so it can cover up the actual pages of the book that I was telling you about. We had some real concerns about how it's going to be managed because, as you know, with projects, it's very easy to get them started, but then if you want to keep them going, then that can fall apart. If the champion of the project isn't there anymore, then the thing can fall apart. And so we didn't want that to happen. So as it turns out, the library is going to be the ones that turn it around. They will set up the storybooks and switch them out every week. And there's 40 of them. That's a long book, 40 books for a kid's book is a long book. So what they're doing is they're going to have 2 books every week. One going, because there's a park in the center of this leg of the trail. One is going to go from one side to the end and back again, and the other one's going to go from the middle to the other end. So there's going to be 2 stories that they switch over, and they're hoping to do that every 3 weeks. I wait to see if that happens or not, but we'll see. The engineering people have not been as forthcoming as they'd like. There's lots of COVID reasons because things can't happen, and now we're. So they had it all figured out. They had designed the costing, all this other kind of stuff done. And then a couple of years into it now, we still haven't seen any posts. This is all built and the cement slabs are there for these things to go on to, and park benches too. And now they're going to send it out for RFPs again and try and get quotes and see about standards and all kinds of stuff. It's like we're back to zero. It's making me crazy. So we've already made 2 of our 5 $10,000 a year installments. The other club pays half as much because they're half as big. And so it's $15,000 a year for 5 years running. So $75,000 in total is what we are paying the city for that. Last thing. Yeah, okay, that'll work for now. And I'm just going to show you a couple other things that we've done as well. And I checked into your club a little bit. You've done very well. You do a lot of stuff in town. It's really, really impressive. I was quite taken by what you do. And you had a bequest from somebody a couple of years ago, if not 3, big one. And you decided, it sounds like, to do different projects with that bequest that you had for over a 5-year period, which I thought great solution. And if you are interested in doing something like this with the city, because you have lots of trails, I looked around Bowmanville and Clarington just to see what there is. There's tons. And so I thought, I will stop sharing here. I thought that this might be something that would appeal to you. And if you'd like some help with how it was structured and who to talk to and what happens and who does what next, I'd be happy to talk to you about that kind of a thing, if this is something that appeals to you. There's lots of other things that may as well, but that's kind of a rundown on how the whole thing works. Any
John,
questions?
pictures of the actual boards, like along the trail?
No, they're not built. That's the thing. You're there 2 years later. Oh, sorry, no, COVID, no, something else. Oh, we had other priorities and God knows what. No, I can tell you what they kind of look like. It's a straight square post that's give or take about, you don't want it too high because it's for kids, right? So, and it had to be wheelchair accessible. That's another engineering thing they had to work through. So the posts themselves are going to be about 2.5 feet high with a kind of a slanted top on them and a plastic cap on top of the board itself. And that is removable, but it has to be somewhat vandal proof because they're very concerned about people trashing it.
Yeah, Chris?
So John, since this is 2 years later, costs presumably have gone up significantly. Is that going to affect the project?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite, what did you say?
I was saying that because it's 2 years later, since you expected to get the project done, costs, I assume, have gone up significantly or will go up significantly.
Oh, I'm sure they have. Yeah, our commitment is to $75 total. And that the intention was 10,000 from our club, 5 from the other club each year for 5 years running. With all the discussions that have taken place and inordinate delays, we are going to be having discussions in January about whether we want to do our installment this year or not. And that may light a fire under somebody to do something. We're not sure, but we'll see. The other side of it is, you know what, we're going to pay it anyway. So let's just get it over with. And they're going to do whatever they do whenever they get to it. Maybe our 10,000 isn't going to make the difference. We're not sure. But we thought we'd at least talk about it. And then they understand that we're somewhat unhappy about the inordinate delays. One other thing that I'll just touch on for you. Oh, thank you, Nana. I'll just touch on is that this is our 100th anniversary of our club. Yours is in 3 years, I understand, too, 1924. And what we did for our 100th anniversary was a very big project as well. It had to do with a big clock that was going down on the Niagara Parkway. And that was our 100th anniversary. We wanted to tie that in with this one as well, because the more opportunities you had to talk about what Rotary is all about and where we are and that we even exist, the more chance it is that somebody will remember that. And so we were trying to do that for our 100th anniversary event as well. Unfortunately, the trail thing didn't happen, but I wanted to show you one more thing that did happen, and I'm very happy with it. So this is a clock, believe it or not. You can see how big this thing is. It's got Niagara Parks on one side and established in 1888 down here, and Niagara Falls Rotary down here, and then established in 1921. That was our 100th year this year. And so we had this clock installed because, and now that was, so we're dealing with the Niagara Parks Commission. Well, you thought the city was tough? Oh my God. So anyway, we got this thing done, and there you can see the Skyline Tower in behind us and this massive clock here. And then there's another one over here. Whoops. And this is what it looks like. And if you check your Rotarian magazine for last month, you will see this very same picture without me in it on the magazine. It's kind of cool. So this was a huge thing as well, which our foundation, again, could fund as well, because we do have access to money that it's $50,000. But is right beside the American Falls, as you can see. And the parkway is just where the picture was taken from. And that has huge visibility. And it's already gotten, every time I go by, because I keep looking at this thing, I was really kind of lead guy on this whole project. there's people taking pictures of it. So Rotary is getting promoted left, right, and center in this thing. It's absolutely fabulous. Doesn't do much for kids, maybe helps them tell time because nobody knows what a clock looks like anymore. They just have numbers. But, it's kind of a cool thing. Just wanted to point that out too.
Very good. Well, congratulations. Is there any other questions? Yeah, John?
What was the cost of the clock project?
The clock, $50,000, give or take. It's American. So the exchange rate makes a difference, but it was about that, very close to that.
And Leanna had put in the chat, there's a couple of articles. So what, because I heard about your storyboards, it was in the Rotarian as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
Interesting.
there is, so there is some pictures of at least what it's going to look like. So basically what it is it's just the story all the way through the trail. So you have to walk the trail to read the story. So yeah, it's really neat. Yeah, Joe?
Hey, John, how many panels are there going to be? Is it going to be every 5 feet, every 25 feet? Or
Well, the trail itself is about 1.5 kilometers long, and there's 40 panels in there, and they're not evenly spaced either because you don't want it to become a chore, and keep it exciting. So some are shorter, some are 25 feet apart, some are almost 50 feet apart. So it varies.
how big are the panels going to be? Are they going to be 2 by?
I'm told, give or take, about 2.5 feet wide by about 2 feet tall, and then whatever it is off the ground that is appropriate for kids in wheelchairs.
Wayne?
Just wondering, do you have any idea what kind of pedestrian traffic the trail experiences, either, people walking or cycling?
Yeah, good question. That was one of our real concerns too. It's nice to build this thing for people to be able to see it, but then if nobody's going to go to it, then why even bother? And it depends on the time of year. Of course, winter is not used as much as the summertime, but we had to go by a different leg of the trail. I can't tell you how many there are on this one, but in a different leg of the trail, that varied between 200 and 1,000 people a day, which is quite a few. And then this leg that we do has a park right in the center of it. It's called Caroline Park. And so a lot of kids go there. They got a big playground, all that kind of stuff that's right there as well. And so hard to say for sure how that's going to work as far as traffic from the park, because they may go a little ways, they may not, but it's in the center, so they can go one way and come back. So we'll see. Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, thank you very much, John, for joining us. You're more than welcome to stay on unless you want to have a nap before you have to.
No, I'm going to go to work in a half an hour, so I got all kinds of time. I'd love to listen. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Happy bucks. Is anybody happy?
I have 15 happy bucks from Steve, but he's gonna have, he already put them in here. But
That's previous happy bucks.
Oh, old happy
Oh, okay.
bucks.
You're on Zoom meetings.
You can be happy.
I have a 20 for today.
Ah,
And I don't have my mask on. Hi, John. I gotta throw a 20 in here for you, John. My sister and brother-in-law said to say hi this morning. They knew you were our guest speaker. Fred and Jared Harvey. So you know them well.
I do, yeah. And how do you
The
know
other
that?
happy buck was for Ron putting on a great show on Sunday at the Feed the Need. And a hats off to Joe for putting it all together. What a great show. Just an amazing show. Another hats off to Renee for a little get together right after that show. And then the lights at Mossport, Soper Creek, I guess it is, wildlife. Man, I was 3 hours going through those lights on Sunday night because they had to combine Saturday and Sunday because of the wind on Saturday and the lights that were all blown over. Anyways, there's 20 bucks worth.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gord Wallace.
Yay, nice to see you.
It's my first meeting, my first live meeting, and well, I probably missed a few before the COVID. So it's been a while. I got a $5 tip from Tree Delivery, so it's only appropriate that we all share in it.
Here's the $5 happy buck. Yeah, so the concert, first of all, thank you so much. We had the Rotary clubs who took part all chipped in.
And we got a whole bunch of sponsors, and thank you, John, and thank you, Steve. That's the sponsors table, I guess. There you go. And so between the Rotary Club's donations and the sponsors, we were able to get, and as I said at the concert, I like to work in food going out rather than money coming in. More than $90,000 already. Food is going out. That's before we count any ticket sales, before we count any donations that came in that day. So that was fantastic. But you know, as Steve said, the memory for me is going to be the fact that it was a hell of an event, and if you were there, you'll know how. I mean, it was pretty spectacular in terms of the music and the region. It's fantastic, and I think they're going to be putting it. Kevin Arbor, the general manager of the region, said that they were going to be putting up the virtual. If anyone saw the virtual, I haven't seen it yet. But how was it? The sound was a little uneven, I heard.
Yeah, to begin with, the sound was a little uneven, but it was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, that's
Really
what I
good
heard.
production.
I mean, they had a 3-camera setup,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like watching, just a single
No.
camera. It was like a
No.
produced show, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. And I hope they put it back up so everybody can watch it. Anyway, thank you all for your support. That was great. We even got one of a Toronto club came up and gave us some support as well, which was great. So. I guess I don't know where we go from here for next year.
I've got 5 happy bucks because I'm doing trees on Wednesday.
I was gonna say, did you get to the pub, Steve, on Sunday?
I did, but
Fun.
not till after 5.
Not like, oh, there. Yeah. So John, we're selling Christmas trees and we're down to what, 4 trees, I think? We started off with 600, we're down to 4, and everybody wants their
For you.
so that we don't have any more shifts.
Good for you. That's fabulous. Wow.
Do we have any happy bucks online? I don't want to. Oh, Fred?
Muted.
You're muted, Fred.
You're muted. Let them keep going. Why do you do that?
I'm not getting undressed, just unmuting. Yeah, I've got 20 happy bucks. I'm also not selling trees on Wednesday with Bleed. So that's good for probably the whole society. But the other thing is all 4 people submitted all the stuff they were supposed to for yesterday for the B&G. It's never happened before. I didn't even have to send out a note. So thank you, the 4 contributors, including the thought for the day, or the quote of the week, rather. Thank you very much.
We're getting there, Fred.
Yep. Oh, yeah, you are.
All right. So if we're going to move on then to our Know Your Rotarian. So Pauline and Fred DeVries. I don't know who's first.
No, take it. Hi, so when I was asked to do Know Your Rotarian with Fred, I thought, fabulous. Who doesn't know Fred, this lovable big guy who's always got a happy, smiling face, and someone that will do anything for anyone. And that was demonstrated last week when I sent an email to the entire club and said, we have a senior that needs to go to hospital in Toronto next week and needs a ride. I had no sooner hit send and I get a response, I can do it. And that's the type of guy that Fred is. And I've known Fred for probably about 30 years through my business in the insurance industry, and Fred ran Fred's Auto Body. And I was always very happy to send clients there because I knew that they would be fairly treated and honestly treated, or at least fairly honestly treated. And always good work. And over the years, Fred knocked a few bumps out for me too, so to speak. Yeah, so Fred became a Rotarian 14 years ago, and that's when we all got to know him a little bit better. I remember him entertaining us after Rotary golf games and our social events. I was surprised at our recent tree selling episode where I caught him and John singing and I recorded it. And so many people said, I didn't know he could sing because he sure can sing.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. Fred has been playing with bands over the years and he currently sings in his church congregation. When I asked him what kind of music he listens to, without hesitation, he says, Kansas. He's a classic rock kind of guy. So what else about Fred? Well, Fred is short for Frederick, not Alfred, thank God. He's a local lad, one of 4 children, and his dad gained a certain amount of notoriety as the local milkman. Clarence DeGrees came from Holland and worked for Glen Ray Dairy, owned by Rotarian Bob Stevens, who was always touting Clarence as his best employee. And judging by the commentary on the Bowmanville community Facebook page, Clarence was very well respected by many. Fred had a great upbringing in this local community. He became interested in guitar playing when, as a young teen, he had a visit from a Dutch cousin, and thus began our budding rock star. As a teen, Fred always loved messing around with cars, so it was no surprise he followed a career in auto body shop. He worked locally, and at first, this young man went west to make his fortune and live in Calgary. Luckily for us, he returned home on a trip and saw an opportunity to start a business with his own body shop. His first shop was on Highway 115, south of Orono. And then, of course, he moved to the Baseline location that we all knew. He's retired now. Along the way, Fred got married and had 4 kids, 3 girls and a boy, a daughter, Sharon, who works for Don Glede and at Toyota, and she's an absolute doll, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. Many of us Rotarians know the delightful Melissa, who attends our kids' Christmas party when we're able to have them. Fred is a granddad to 9 grandkids, so his retirement days are filled with family times. He lives in the lovely wee village of Orono, and when I asked him what he does for fun, he said ATV. He really is a big kid. He tells me he recently bought a sailboat and it's moored in the port of Newcastle, and next year he's going to be sailing. So what is exciting for Fred in his life these days? Well, he's very much looking forward to next summer and the 50th reunion of his grade 8 class at Knox Christian School. He's on the planning committee and he's looking forward to seeing his old friends and a hippie teacher who turned preacher. So we finished our little chat in classic Barbara Walters fashion. Apparently, if Fred was a tree, he'd be a tamarack because he thinks they're just grand. I had to look up a tamarack. Apparently it has deciduous needles. It turns a brilliant yellow and it's truly something to behold, just like our Fred.
Well, thanks very much, Pauline. That was a beautiful little talk. Mine is nothing as extravagant. So we're here today to get to know the beautiful Pauline Calvert. Pauline, like most of us here, is a Rotarian, has been for a long time. She was born just outside of Edinburgh, Scotland. Pauline has an older brother who moved to Canada. So on account of a housing crisis in her hometown, she moved to Canada as well at the age of 19, hoping just to go for 5 years. She resided in Barrie, where she met her husband and was married at the age of 22. Pauline had 2 children, Rachel and Adam, both within the same year, and she claims that's the only year she didn't work. She started working for an insurance company in Barrie by the name of Royal Insurance, and by 1980 she was transferred to the Oshawa office, where she was for 7 years. Then she went to work at Matthew and Associates in the great town of Orno as a broker. In 1990, Matthew and Associates was bought up by Canada Broker Link, and she ran the show there first on Highway 2 in Newcastle, then she moved the office in behind the Newcastle Community Center. She then retired in 2013. Pauline has been an outstanding member of the Rotary Club for close to 31 years. She joined in February of 91, and she was our club president in 2000, 2001. She was the first woman president of our club. When I joined in 2007, she was one of the familiar faces that made me feel comfortable in the club. Being a body shop owner, we did some dealings together. Pauline today is married to John Burns, who she knew in her old high school days in Scotland. It was 15 years ago that they reached out to each other on their high school website. They got together and started seeing each other while John was in engineering business. I believe it was in the United States.
Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Eventually things got serious and they got married, and John resided in Bowmanville with Pauline in 2009. They live in Wilmot Creek, where Pauline has been the entertainment director for the past 5 years. Pauline has 4 grandchildren, 2 from each of her kids. She hates winter, and she has a huge passion for golf. Her favorite tree is the holly tree. One more note is that the governor of Rotary for the 22-23 resides from the same town as Pauline came from. Pauline is a very respected member of the Bowmanville Rotary Club, and I'm sure Rotary as a whole. I'm grateful for all she does for us and here, and a very positive attitude.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah, Joe, I think, yes, Joe.
Yeah, I have a question for each of you. Fred, you a sailboat you're putting in the water? What is it, and what is it about sailing that you that you want?
Well, I talk about myself, I guess. When I was 18, I had a sailboat for a couple of years at the Bowmanville Marina, and I really enjoyed it. So I've always wanted to. But then I moved to Calgary and still sailing up there.
What kind of boat? I grew up around boats. I just wondered what kind of boat is it? So it's a sleep. It's like two, and that's great. Good for you. And I have a question for Tony. But first of all, looking at there, I forgot to thank Rachel and Leanna for all the great work they did on the concert on the Facebook page. I was feeding them stuff every day, so thank you. Just watching Rachel watch her mom talk. Can you recall what it was like to be the president, a woman as a woman, when you came? Because women were at the time, were they even officially allowed in Rotary? It was really early days. What kind of pushback did you get?
I was actually the second woman in the club and the second president. I wasn't the first. Val Gardner joined a few weeks before me, and she was the president before me. It was actually, it was a privilege, and I enjoyed every minute. And you know what, we have such a great club here. They made it easy for me. Yeah.
So it wasn't a lot of pushback.
There was not a lot of pushback in the club. I think I've told you a story about, I went to Bermuda, and I thought I'd visit with the Bermuda Club, and they weren't going to let me in. This was in 1992, I think, or 93. And they said, no, we don't allow women in. And I mean, I was just over 40 at the time, and I was a little bit determined, and I stamped my feet and says, yes, I'm coming in. I'm a Rotarian. So they let me in, and then when it was time to introduce Rotarians or visiting, they said visiting Rotarian and mentioned my name and said where I was from, everybody stamped their feet. So I stood up and I says, Mr. President, I demand that each one of these Rotarians are fined. And then everybody applauded and things got nice.
Very good. And then what's going to be very interesting, John wouldn't know this, but Rachel, who you can see on the call, that's Pauline's daughter. So we're going to have, and Rachel's our president-elect. So we're going to have probably one of the first mother-daughter
Yeah.
combos as presidents. So yeah, very good. All right, so we're moving quite along. I have a number of announcements today. First of all, so this is our last meeting, official meeting of 2021. So the next meeting we'll have in person. Well, we're going to do our Christmas party. It's going to be next Thursday. So if I haven't heard from you, if you can let us know, let me know whether or not you're going to be coming and whether you're bringing a guest. We just have to finalize numbers with Boston Pizza. Rachel and I are heading out there tomorrow to look at some things. Just so you know, they've put in a permanent awning. So it's on the heated patio, but it's nice and toasty warm, and we're going to verify that tomorrow. And at the Christmas party, we are doing a 50-50 draw. So I know that Pauline sent this email out. We have not done a 50-50 draw since Jason's year, because that's when we stopped meeting in person. So in our coffers of our 50-50 draw is close to $1,000, and that's from Jason's year. So what we're going to do is we want to clean up that money. $20 a ticket, 50-50 again. So half of it will go into the pot. It'll be a one-time draw. There's no there's no find the card. It's just a one-time draw. So somebody next Tuesday or next Thursday night is going to make some money. So if you can't be there, get the money to us ahead of time. You can get it to myself, Pauline, Rachel, and you don't have to be there to win. Or if you want to send it with somebody, that's fine. We're just going to do the draw next Thursday night.
Members only, one ticket per member.
One ticket per member, yep, and members only for the 50-50.
So Amy, just to clarify, whoever wins the 50-50 from the $20 plus the $1,000.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, so yeah. We also had a discussion at the board meeting last week about our meal cards. I don't know, some of the new members might not know about the meal cards, but some of us do have the meal cards where you could prepay your meals. Obviously, we're not doing meals right now, so we're going to give you a couple of options. You can hold on to them with the hopes that we're going to be back to meals at some point. If you want a refund in writing, please, and we will make that happen. Or the third option is if you want to just leave it and donate, we will do tax receipts for that amount so that you make it as a donation to Rotary. So that goes to the prepaid tickets, but there was also the option when you paid your dues of paying for meals as well. So we'd have to look into when that was paid and how many were, we have to, that might take a little bit more
Calculating.
a little bit more calculated on that one, but yeah, so if you're happy with just doing a donation, great, but we know that some people still have them, so we wanted to address that. Dues, if you got an email from Steve K, pay your dues. So Steve, you sent out
There's
to
only three members that didn't.
Name them.
So, Jen, someone else. I can't remember.
Yeah. We also had at the president's meeting last night, just for those of you who don't know, the foundation walk for 2022 is in Durham. So Nisi from Whitney Sunrise is putting together Nisi, are you on that committee too, John? Yeah. Nisi and John are putting together a committee to organize the foundation walk for September of 2022, looking for volunteers. Yeah, so if you're interested in helping out, I don't think we've nailed down the date yet. I think it might be the 25th of September.
2 days.
But the 18th is the Terry Fox run. So need to avoid that. Anyway, so it is September of 2022. If you're willing to help, let me know or reach right out to John or Nisi and go from there. Also at the president's meeting last night, congratulations to our tech team. So our Ron and I know Steve helped set us up, but according to Ron Dick, he's been to a number of hybrid meetings, and so far he says this one is the best laid with the cameras, and So that being said, yes, congratulations, guys. Thank you for doing that. That being said, we're looking for a little bit of help and backup for Ron too. So, you know, if we can, we chatted this morning, basically, you know, you need a laptop and a camera. If you want a second camera, you know, that sort of thing. But if somebody is able to maybe help us with that, if they can reach out to myself or Steve or Ron, don't involve me. I don't know anything about it, honestly. But yeah, just to sort of a backup for Ron, if you could let us know, that would be great. Trees, I guess we're down to about 4. So hopefully today, somebody go buy a tree. And
It's closed up.
are we done?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Good.
It's gonna give them away. Anybody who knows anybody who wants a tree, can go get.
Go grab a tree. Oh,
Facebook.
perfect. Good. And I know we're a bit early, but anybody else have any announcements? Yeah, Wayne?
No announcement, just an observation. The other evening driving by Boston Pizza, there were a lot of people out on that patio. It looked to be nearly full.
Yeah.
It's obviously what people are thinking.
It's the inside outside.
Yeah.
Really, it's the inside outside.
Yeah, so that's why, and we do have a reservation, but we do need to sort of firm up the number so that they know how much of the patio to allow us. So, yeah, and we will send out, Rachel and I will send out an email after we've sort of, you know, made some more plans. So look for that close to the end of the week. But yeah, as long as we know by Monday of next week who's coming. Quote of the week we have is Peter Kennedy. Happy anniversary tomorrow. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Yes, tomorrow is the big day, year number 4. So for the quote of today, it says, if you're not making someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time. Your life will only become better by making other lives better. And that's from our friend, the Fresh Prince, Will Smith.
Yeah, so I think that is most of what we have this week. Just, you know, on behalf of everybody, if we're not going to see you next week, season's greetings, you know, best of the season to everybody. And then we look forward to seeing everybody in 2022. All right, thank you very much.
Oh.